Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to MMH classes. So today's class is about IELTS exam, and we are going to discuss about speaking module today. Speaking module. So today we will discuss the three parts of speaking, the marking criteria, and the overall speaking questions. What type of questions come in the speaking module of IELTS exam? So let's start. So there are three parts of speaking, IELTS speaking. The first part is intro. Introduction. The examiner asks about your studies, your home, your name and all that. And then simple questions and answers, right? So this takes about 4 to 5 minutes. Then is part 2, in which the examiner gives you a cue card and there is a topic mentioned on that. So you have to speak on that for 1 to 2 minutes, not under 1 minute and not above 2 minutes, right? And then the last part is a detailed discussion which takes about 4 to 5 minutes. So we'll discuss these three parts in detail in the next slides. Remember, in total the speaking test takes around 11 to 14 minutes, not below 11 and not above 14. The examiner sees your fluency and cohesion, how fluent you are in your English and how cohesive you are. That is 1/4 of the marking criteria. Then comes vocabulary. Now you have to remember that you do not need advanced vocabulary here. You just need simple vocabulary, simple words, right? Then comes grammar. Remember to polish your tenses as well. The last thing is pronunciation. I mean, you must know how to pronounce words correctly, right? So all of these four account for 100% for marking criteria. Very much important when the examiner is giving you a band score. The examiner looks at these four and then gives you a band score. Now talking about part 1. Part 1 is very simple. I mean, look at it. The examiner asks the candidate about him, herself, his or her home, work or studies and other familiar topics, right? And then after that the examiner asks about something. For example, in this case, this is an example of social media. Like, which social media websites do you use? How much time do you spend on social media sites? Why and why not? So in part 1, remember, you have to give direct answers. You have to give direct answers and precise answers, right? Just wrap it up in 3 to 4 sentences, right? So after part 1, this is part 2, which is cue card, and this is the most important, right? So this type of cue card is given to you and there's a topic mentioned on it. Like in this example, describe something you own which is very important to you. Now you should say where you got it from, how long you have had it, what you use it for, and explain why it is important to you. Now you will have to talk about the topic for 1 to 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say. You can make some notes to help you if you wish. Now the examiner first of all gives you the cue card and then also gives you a thing like a notepad where you can write notes for 1 minute about the topic. You can make notes, right? So remember that in part 2, you have to address these 4 things, like where you got it from, how long you have had it, what you use it for, and explain why it is important to you. You have to give answers of all of these 4, right? Then your part 2 will be complete. Then you will achieve a good band score, right? If you miss, like for example, you miss this third point in your 1 to 2 minutes speech about this topic, then you have a chance of getting a low band, right? So you have to talk about every point to get a good band score. Then comes part 3. This part includes detailed questions about the topic asked in part 2. The topic that was asked in part 2, in part 3, most of the questions, 90% of the questions are of the same topic. In fact, whole of part 3 is about the same topic or familiar topic to the one they ask in part 2. Now, for example, look at this example. Describe something you liked very much, which you bought for your home, right? Now look at part 3. Creating a nice home, different types of home. Now part 2 was about a thing you bought for your home. And then part 3 is about a home, creating a home, different types of home. So familiar topic with the topic in part 2, right? And remember in part 3, you have to give detailed answers, right? For example, why do some people buy lots of things for their home? So you have to give out around 5 to 6 sentences and a detailed answer, right? In the next video, we will do about what words to use for speaking. For example, uh, therefore, moreover, to my way of thinking, in my opinion, right? And we will also study about different types of questions that come in part 3. I mean, there are opinion questions, right? And all that. We'll discuss in the next videos. But here in this video, I'm just giving you an overview of examples of part 1, part 2, and part 3, right? So in the next video, I'll talk more about IELTS speaking and what to use, what vocabulary, what grammar to use, what type of sentences to use, how to answer in detail, how to answer precisely, and all that. So stay tuned and we'll meet in the next video. Allah Hafiz.